Good evening. Welcome to the first episode of Poetry in VGC. My name is Big Mike VGC, and today I'll be reading A Still Volcano Life by Emily Dickinson. A Still Volcano Life by Emily Dickinson. A still volcano life that flickered in the night when it was dark enough to do without erasing sight. A quiet earthquake style, too subtle to suspect, by nature's this side Naples, the north cannot detect. The solemn, torrid symbol, the lips that never lie, whose hissing corals part and shut, and cities ooze away. I think this is a very interesting poem, not one of her very more well-known ones, but the first thing I notice is the rhyming pattern in the first and second stanzas. The second and the fourth line rhyme, but the first and the third don't. That can be seen in both of them. Just looking at the words themselves, I think what Emily's trying to get across is that she's doing something interesting. She's making a volcano which, has this connotation of being loud and explosive and destructive, but she sort of waits to get that message across. She sort of makes it a still, calming image in the first one, especially the word still, a still volcano life. It flickering, not really a word that we associate with the volcano, when it is dark enough to do without erasing sight. So it almost seems like the volcano is exhibiting some sort of restraint. I guess that's what the author's trying to get across. Again, and then picking that up into the second stanza, a quiet earthquake style. Notice the capitalizations. Again, she's trying to reinforce that image, a backwards image of the volcano that we don't. It's sort of hard to understand until you get to the third stanza. The solemn torrid symbol, the lips that never lie, whose hissing corals part and shut and cities ooze away. I think by abandoning the rhyme scheme in the third stanza, she's sort of trying to change the image that she's been building up in the last two stanzas. For example, now is when she finally, especially in the last line, is when she really brings to light the destructive power that a volcano has, and how it's able to just destroy cities. So I think what she's trying to do is build up, especially the reader in the first two stanzas, and then sort of let it go by the end. And I think it's really brought together by the still, the quiet, the solemn, torrid symbols, the lips that never lie. So this is poem 601, I believe, from Emily, in her compendium of a bunch of poems. It's nice to think about. It's not one of her more well-known ones, but I think there's definitely a message here, or if not a message, then a controlled release of the themes that she's trying to bring across. Maybe something's more effective if you're, instead of taking a direct approach, going to what people think first, you sort of build them up and then hit them with it. It has a much more significant impact because, if you think about it, this poem's actually structured very well along the lines of what a volcano is, because a volcano is usually dormant for millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years, a long time, and then it explodes in a second, doing all the destruction in a second. And Emily really mirrors that in the first two stanzas, in the first couple of lines in the third stanza. She doesn't go straight to the explosion. She lets it build up. It flickers in the night, dark enough to do without erasing sight. It's quiet, too subtle to suspect. I think that's the key line in this one. There's no, a mountain just appears as a volcano or a volcano appears as a mountain for so long that it's sort of hard to, actually think that's what's going to happen. I really like this poem. I think it's a nice, quiet, meditative one. It's nice and short, like most of hers are. And I think that it's a really good read, and I enjoy it a lot, actually. So that's about it for the analysis that I have for this poem. So you may be wondering, well, what are you doing here? So instead of putting that in the beginning of the video and boring everyone, I've decided to upload this VGC battle. This is season 4 of Sword and Shield VGC. There's a bunch of rental teams. I will definitely paste, or I'll put a copy of the team with the rental code in the beginning, just in case you want to use this team. It's capitalizing on Steam Engine Weakness Policy Colossal. This is strangely not Dynamax Colossal, but it still does the work regardless. It's kind of ridiculous. So the pairing with Sneasel is interesting. I've seen a lot of people use Dragapult. But the thing with Sneasel is it may not be as fast as Dragapult, but when you attach the Scarf, it gives you the speed that you need to outspeed almost anything that's not scarfed in the tier. And a lot of the stuff that is. And you're able to get the Surf off. And the biggest differentiating factor, I think, between Sneasel and Dragapult is the base 35 special attack from Sneasel. Again, further subtracted by the nature. I believe it's a Jolly Nature, and you get the Surf off. And the point of the Surf, if you don't know what Steam Engine does, is if Colossal is hit by a water or a fire type attack, its speed gets maxed out, as in +6, which is ridiculous. And then along with that, the weakness policy gives it a +2 boost to both attacking stats. It really gives it the power that you need to sort of demolish everything. So in this game, I sort of played around the Gastrodon coming out first, but my opponent did not bring it out until the end, so that's why I was hesitant to just use a rock move or a fire move on the Avalugg turn 1, but it worked out for me. I played another game with a Dynamax Melodic against, and I could not, it's almost impossible to beat that in one hit, and I was able to kill Colossal right afterwards. So that may be the big problem with the team. But if you guys like this video, thank you for watching. I hope that everyone has a great day, and if you have any poetry suggestions, I will take that to mind while I sort of theory craft the next poetry in VGC. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.